The Bulls are secretly starting the perfect, and I'll tell you why. They have Zach LaVine, who's in shocks. They've been really good without him, considering with LaVine they're 5-13, but without them they're 5-3. This video was recorded before the game against Miami tonight, so I don't know what happens. So he's clearly not working, and they need him out. He's on the trade market and could be traded to teams like the Lakers or 76ers. I see the Lakers being the best fit for him, and if they can get a promising young player like Max Christie or Jalen Hood-Schifino, their rookie, and maybe a first or a second, that would be great value for Zach LaVine considering he's had a down year. He's not the most winning player. Next up, another player who I think could be a good trade piece for them is Alex Caruso, who is at an all-time high for value. He's the fifth best three-point shooter in the league, and as he shot 47% on 2.7 attempts per game. Well, I don't see this lasting. Like, I think it'll fall down to earth, but he can still definitely be a 4%, not 4%, a 40% shooter considering his career is 38%. Um, he could be traded for a younger piece to like fill out a contending team, like possibly the Warriors. No, probably not the Warriors, but there's many teams that they could pick him up. And anyone would want him. You put him on any team and makes the team like a couple wins better. He might be more valued than DeMar on the average team. Like if you're taking an average team, I'd want Alex Caruso or not DeMar, sorry, over Zach LaVine. Next up is DeMar DeRozan, who has struggled a little bit from the field this year, and being only 44% from the field compared to his 50% last year. But his three-pointer has been excellent in comparison, considering his career 29% from deep. He's been 36% from deep. He'll be a great veteran presence if this team goes younger. He's pretty old, but there's been reports that he won't be traded, I don't think, but there's still a chance, and if he does, I think that'll probably be good for the team. He definitely has a lot of potential to help these young guys develop. He's a really solid player still, and I really like how he's performing. Next up, Nikola Vucevic. Nikola Vucevic has been pretty. He's averaged around 17 points and 10 rebounds, a pretty efficient double double. He hasn't been something special, but since he's gotten a new contract, a contract extension recently, I don't see him being traded, and that is what is some players have said too, according to reports. Now we've looked at all their big time older pieces. I'm gonna go and switch right into the young talent, starting from the bottom, going up to the top. At the bottom, we have Dalen Terry and Julian Phillips, who have had little to no playtime over this year, but they're dominating the G League with Terry, averaging um, 16, 3.5, 5.5, with 1.8 steals on 47% from three. And Julian Phillips has been dominating, averaging 17 points, 9 rebounds on 46% from deep. Both looking solid. Could get some minutes when Zach LaVine heads out or at the end of the season if they're trying to tank. Next up is Patrick Williams, who has been a little bit lackluster, but has been turning up lately. Um, in the over the last 10 games, he has been on 13, 5-2 on 44% from the deep, and he's actually the youngest out of the players I'm going to be talking about, besides Julian Phillips and Dalen Terry, out of their young core with Ayu Dosunmu, Kobe White, and Patrick Williams. He was been rough this year, but now he's looking like he's back on the right path after Levine has left. Um, he's only 22, even though he's drafted in 2020, so he's still really young. Next up is Ayu Dosunmu, who has been on demon time lately. Over the last 10 games, he's been 9, 2, and 3, and he's just been really solid compared to what one would think he could do. Um, so far this year, he hasn't been the great, but now he's really um, get turning it up now that Levine is out, and I really think he might be one of the cornerstones of this young team. And he's still already been great value considering he was a second rounder in his draft. So he's still only 24. Next up, our most promising of the young big three, Kobe White. who has been an absolute diabolical player, um, who has been 40 or who has this year has averaged 17, 4, and 5. And over the last 10 games, he's been averaging scoring like 27 points per game. He's been a score force guy. His defense has been improving. I see him putting himself in front of those shots to stop that from happening. And he's been just forcing so many misses. He's been excellent from deep. He's averaging 43% from deep. He's been so good, and I'm so excited for this young core. If they can get some young trade pieces like Christie from the Lakers or Jaden Springer from the 76ers, I'd be really happy to see what they can do. And I really want them to be able to formulate as a really good young rebuilding team. It's looking like all these players that they said weren't good picks are just looking so good. And especially all these draft picks, they're so young still. Consider Kobe White was 23. He was drafted in the 2019 draft. Actually, wow, he was so young when he was drafted, and he's looking so good. And if they can get a solidly high draft pick, draft a pretty solid player to help develop with their young big three, I'm just so excited to see what this team can do. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next time, and bye bye.